A bunch of winter storms are coming to the United States over the next 7 days, as we are expecting a ton of snow and ice accumulation, in addition to the return of severe weather, which includes things like tornadoes. So in today's forecast, we're going to break down exactly what you need to know about the weather that'll be impacting the United States over the next 7 days, and we'll begin with what's happening across the country today, which for right now, things are somewhat quiet. We do have a band of moisture that is coming out of the Pacific Ocean, which is actually going to be fueling an elongated area of rain and snow as we go into tonight and tomorrow morning across areas like the Central Plains and back into the Mid-Atlantic and the Ohio Valley. But until then, things are quiet for now, so enjoy the quieter weather while it lasts. Areas like the Gulf Coast and also back through the Northern Plains and the West Coast are quiet for now, but that will change as we go later into this week. Now, we have some big winter storms coming to the United States. The National Weather Service has already issued winter storm watches for those in Kentucky, back into parts of Virginia, West Virginia, Delaware, and even New Jersey, and winter storm watches are also in effect for a different winter storm back over in the Central Plains. And by the time we go into Wednesday, I think there will be a huge area with winter storm watches and warnings, which means we might have a live stream covering that winter storm. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already, so you stay up to date with the latest updates on all these winter storms that'll be happening over the next several days. Now, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to all these winter storms that'll be happening this week in the United States. So let's get right into it with what's happening as we go throughout the daytime today. We are going to have moisture that's coming out of the Pacific Ocean, in addition to cold air out of Canada. This is all going to meet in the Central Plains tonight, and we are eventually going to see an elongated area of snow and rain form, in addition to freezing rain, which will lead to some ice accumulation. Eventually, as we go into early Tuesday morning, notice how we are going to be talking about some light to moderate snow back over into parts of Kentucky, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, and some light snow forming back over in Nebraska and Kansas. And by the way, if you're back over in the Central Plains, you have multiple shots for snow this week, so don't be too discouraged if you don't see a whole lot of snow on Tuesday. Back over in the Southern Plains into the Dixie Alley, we are going to have heavy rainfall as we go throughout the daytime on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even into Friday into Saturday, so we are expecting some flooding in those areas. Eventually, as we go later into Tuesday, notice how heavy snowfall starts to ramp up back over in the Mid-Atlantic, including areas like Kentucky, Virginia, West Virginia, and even back into Maryland and Delaware, in addition to some light snow still falling in the Central Plains. And eventually into Wednesday morning, we are still dealing with some moderate snowfall back over in the Mid-Atlantic region, in addition to freezing rain, which will lead to ice accumulation back over in parts of northern North Carolina and even into southern Virginia. And then eventually, as we go into Wednesday afternoon, things start to dry up a little bit, even though there's still maybe some light freezing rain and snow out there. But our next winter storm will ramp up as we go into Wednesday. So we're going to have back-to-back winter storms here, and this one is going to explode back over in the Central Plains, where we're going to have some moderate to heavy snowfall back over in eastern Kansas and northern and central Missouri, freezing rain across parts of Oklahoma, northern Arkansas, and even into southern Missouri. And this will continue to ramp up as we go throughout the daytime on Wednesday. Eventually, by the evening hours, that heavy snowfall is moving into the Midwest and also through the Great Lakes region, while freezing rain and sleet continue back over in a very thin area in southeastern Missouri and also southern Illinois. Eventually, as we go into late Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, this continues to move towards New England, in addition to New York and as well as Pennsylvania. And keep in mind that there's actually a risk for severe weather as well on Wednesday back over in the Deep South and the Dixie Alley. And we're going to talk more about that here in just a moment. And then eventually, as we go later into Thursday morning, heavy snowfall is moving across central and northern New England. Much of New York will also be dealing with that, with more of a wintry mix back over in southern New England and parts of Pennsylvania. And eventually, as we go later into Thursday, this starts to move out with only light snow remaining. And by the way, that's not the last winter storm that we're dealing with this week. We got another one as we go into Saturday and as well as into Sunday, and that is all because of a large atmospheric river event that'll be taking place on the West Coast. And this entire area of energy is going to move over the Rocky Mountains as we go into Friday night, and then eventually into Saturday, we're going to be dealing with a large area of snow and as well as even some severe weather, especially back over in the Deep South as we go into Saturday afternoon and evening. Notice how there will be some heavy snowfall back over in the Great Lakes region, even parts of the Midwest and also through the Northeast. A little bit of freezing rain, which could lead to some ice accumulation, will also be a possibility, and then an elevated risk of severe weather is likely as we go into Saturday afternoon. And then eventually, as we go into Sunday morning, that snow continues back over in the Northeast, and depending on how fast we see that cold air usher in from behind, we could even see a brief transition to snow back over in the Mid-Atlantic region as well. And then eventually by late Sunday, this is all moving offshore, and then eventually things are quieter for the beginning of next next week. So it's going to be very active over the next 7 days. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already, because we're going to keep you posted with the latest on all of these winter storms. Now let's talk more about how much snow and ice we can expect out of these winter storms, and we'll begin with what's going to be happening over in the mid-Atlantic as we go into tomorrow and Wednesday. We are currently forecasting a large area to see at least 2 to 4 inches of snow, but there will be many locations, especially back over in northern Kentucky, also back into West Virginia, and many areas back over in northern Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware that pick up as much as 4 to 8 inches of snowfall. Here's a closer view here of the mid-Atlantic. Again, keep in mind that these numbers could be a bit higher. A lot of models have been indicating upwards of even 12 inches of snowfall in a pretty large area. I'm not saying we're going to see that much snow, but I do think most areas here will see between 4 to 8 inches of snowfall, especially if you are in any of this purple area here back over in parts of southern Maryland, Delaware, and back into northern Virginia. And if I'm in this area, I would be preparing for upwards of 10 inches of snowfall. I'm not saying you will see that much snow, but that is the potential capability of this winter storm as we go into Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, especially if the snow remains heavy over a long period of time, which is a possibility. There are many models right now that are indicating much higher amounts of snowfall in these areas, which I'll show you in just a moment. Also back up into New Jersey, definitely prepare there for around 3 to 6 inches of snow on the southern side of the state. Now, in terms of ice accumulation, it is not going to be very significant if you're back over in Maryland, New Jersey, or even back into Delaware. However, if you're back over in central Western Virginia, or even back into West Virginia, many areas here will pick up as much as 1/4 of an inch of ice accumulation. And this type of ice accumulation will mostly impact untreated roadways, which will make things slick out there, maybe some isolated power outages. Now, this is a model that is indicating an absurd amount of snowfall. Now, I'm not saying we're going to see this much snow, but the NAM 12K model is showing a ton of snowfall here across Kentucky and also northern Virginia, West Virginia, and Delaware. This is a very high-end scenario. I don't think we're going to have a widespread area between 10 to 14 inches of snowfall. However, I am just telling you right now that this, again, could overperform compared to what I just showed you a moment ago when it comes to snowfall accumulation. So keep that in mind. Again, I don't think we're going to see this much snowfall, but there could be a few isolated locations that get up near a foot of snow out of this winter storm. And then back over in the Central Plains, we will have a little bit of snow out there as we go throughout Tuesday and even into early Wednesday, but this isn't really going to stack up into much. What is going to stack up into a lot of snow will be the winter storm that we're going to be dealing with as we go into Wednesday, and that's mostly during the afternoon hours. Notice how a large area will likely pick up between 4 to 8 inches of snowfall across Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, and Missouri. I know many of you in Iowa and Nebraska are begging for snowfall. There is snow coming. Trust me, we're going to have some snow here as we go into Wednesday and early Thursday. And then as we go later into Wednesday night into early Thursday morning, that snow will spread back over into the Midwest, the northern Ohio Valley, and Michigan. Again, this is a general idea of how much snow you can expect. There will be some changes to the forecast as we are still a couple of days out. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon down below so you're notified with the latest updates. And just for comparison, this is what the GFS model is showing as we go throughout the daytime on Wednesday into early Thursday, showing that large swath of snow to be around 2 to 6 inches across areas in the Central Plains and the Midwest. It's also further down to the south, which is why I'm saying that there could be some changes to the forecast here over the next couple of days. There is definitely some model discrepancy here, but nonetheless, we are going to see snow, I think, in many areas in the Central Plains and also into the Midwest. And the national blend of models, which essentially blends together a bunch of different computer models all into one graphic, is indicating a ton of snow, especially as we go even into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But the bulk of the snow would probably come as we go into Sunday and early Monday as we get that next winter storm that rolls across the Midwest and then eventually cuts into the Northeast. We could be talking about upwards of 1 to 2 feet of snow in a large area across northern New England. Now, granted, a lot of the snow will come over 3 different events. However, a lot of it is going to likely come from that winter storm as we go into Sunday, as long as the forecast stays on track. And between now and Wednesday, we are expecting some ice accumulation, mainly across central, western, and northern Oklahoma, and also back into parts of southern Missouri and southern Illinois, and a little bit of ice accumulation is possible back over in parts of the Ohio Valley. In general, we are not expecting anything very significant in terms of like power outages, for example, but there will be some travel impacts, especially for roads that are untreated, and areas like Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle may have more problems than other areas. So keep that in mind. And while the bulk of this ice accumulation will happen on Wednesday, there could be some ice accumulation as we go into Tuesday afternoon and evening in areas like the Southern Plains. So keep that in mind. Stay safe on the roadways and be aware, because there could even be some icing and you might not even know it. And if I didn't go in depth to your region in terms of snowfall, we are expecting a lot of snow again across areas like the Midwest, the Central Plains, and back into the Northeast, where many areas could pick up as much as 8 to 16 inches of snow snow just over the next 7 days. And again, that could come over a couple of different events, so it's not all going to fall at once for most of these areas. Back into the mid-Atlantic as well, we are expecting some significant snowfall accumulation. Most of that will be Tuesday into Wednesday, and then back into the Rockies and West Coast, we're expecting a lot of snowfall there in the higher elevations as those atmospheric river events do continue. So again, it's going to be a very busy next 7 to 10 days. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon down below so you're notified with the latest updates. I do think we have a couple of chances here to be live this week for both severe weather and as well as winter storm coverage. Now, in terms of the severe weather threat, the main concern right now is Wednesday and Saturday. I think Wednesday is not going to be a really big day, but there could be some isolated severe storms back down into the deep south and the Dixie Alley, mainly near the Gulf Coast, where some damaging winds, hail, and a couple of tornadoes will be possible. I personally think that our greatest threat for severe weather will end up being Saturday. It does not appear as if this is going to lift that far to the north. I think this is also going to be really confined here to the Gulf Coast and the southeast. In terms of the threat of severe weather, damaging winds, hail, and a few tornadoes are currently my main concerns. I could see us having an outbreak here of severe weather, and if more moisture pulls to the north, I think our threat of severe weather could actually be a lot larger here across the southeast. So we really need to watch Saturday very closely. Nonetheless, I think severe weather is possible. Exactly what the details are, again, are uncertain, as we still are several days out from this event happening. And one threat that is not being talked about enough with all these winter storms is the amount of rainfall that could come out of this back through areas like the Southern Plains into the Ohio Valley and Dixie Alley, where we are currently thinking a widespread 4 to 8 inches of rain is going to occur back over in areas like Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. And even then, we're still going to be talking about some relatively significant rainfall over the next 7 days when it comes to at least 2 to 4 inches of rain across areas like Louisiana, Arkansas, and back into the mid-Atlantic region. So definitely be on alert here, especially if you are in a low-lying area or an area that is already prone to flooding. It is definitely going to be a dangerous next 7 days because a lot of this rain will stack up and it's just going to keep coming. Again, most of this rain, by the way, will be falling as we go into Saturday and Sunday. And as always, thank you all so much for watching today's video. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below and like the video.